Good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are, and welcome to Focus on Liberia. Today is Saturday, and we are having a Saturday special, and this is going to be a panel discussion on some key national issues. I'm Anthony C. hosting, and again, welcome to our broadcast. We can't ask you enough to do all that usual favor by hitting that share button quickly so that your friends and those in your contact can also have the opportunity to benefit from what we have to share. I have in studio with me Mr. Jimmy Eastman. Mr. Jimmy Eastman is an affiliate here at Focus on Liberia, and he has joined us today in the Saturday special, which is a panel discussion on national issues. And we also have in studio as our guest Mr. Nelson Gay Wright. And actually, folks, Mr. Wright is supposed to be debating Obed Obed today on governance issues in Liberia. But for some reason, Mr. Obed declined. But Mr. Wright is saying, I'm here. Whether he shows up or not, once it's about our country, I will come and be able to share my thoughts on national issues. So he is comfortably seated. We don't have time for SKP when it comes to the national debate, and we are making progress. Winner Bernard King is somewhere around and will be joining us here quickly. So, without much ado, folks, we're getting started here. But first, let me welcome the man Jimmy. Jimmy, welcome. How you feeling, my man?
Hey, Anthony, as usual, it's good to be on the program. This show has always brought education to the people.
Mhm.
We try to inform them, try to expose certain things for them to make a more informed decision. So it's a privilege and an honor to be here today.
Oh, Jimmy, it's always a pleasure to have you here, making your contribution, and we value what you do. Our guest, Mr. Nelson, get right. I said he was comfortably seated, and you see him, he like, I'm ready, man. Just send them my way. He's ready to throw some punches. Welcome, Mr. Wright. How you feeling, brother?
Thank you, sir. I'm really trying hard to be good.
That is a good thing, man. I can relate to that. COVID-19, we just have to try harder and harder to
Yep.
be good, but it's actually a challenge to be good in these trying times. But
Yes.
hey, we are here for business. And so let us now board our audience with all the introduction. Let's try to get the rest out of the pot so that they can start eating. So let's start with you, Mr. Wright. So there's supposed to be a debate, and Obe is nowhere around. What's going through your mind?
Well, not much. I
Mhm,
was really anticipating, of hearing from Obe Obe. I've
mhm,
been following his rhetoric.
mhm.
I've been following his utterances and viewpoints. So I thought it would have been a nice thing for us to have met here this evening on this platform to
Mhm.
exchange ideas, and maybe I can assure Obe would have learned some things, and maybe he will have calmed down. But then there he go. He's not here, and but Liberia still stands. And so we have to go on and talk about our country. Obe is not a factor as far as I'm concerned right now. Liberia is a far greater, bigger factor, and we are here as patriotic as we have chosen to be, to throw some positive things on our country. The
Mhm.
country has to move, with or without Obe Obe.
With or without Obe, we must discuss, we must debate, and talk about the things that are affecting our nation. And that is why Jimmy Eastman is here to do. Jimmy, this thing now, is it becoming a pattern now? Somebody will throw a challenge, then the other will decline. Might get through a challenge. Mr. Cummings like, Lord, I want your boss. But this man is a Liberian. Why don't you debate him? Obe been running all over this place. He wants to debate. He wants to debate. And now we got him one. He escaped. Is it how we need to discuss about the country? We decide who to debate, and we're not willing to debate, our fellow Liberians on the issue. What is going on, Jimmy?
I think a debate is a fair, full, grounds for each person
Mm-hmm.
to express their pointed opinion.
Mm-hmm.
When Obed was on the show, he made a lot of accusations
Mm-hmm.
about Southeasterners. He made a lot of generalizations and stereotyping, and he claimed that the show being hosted by Southeasterners was biased and unbalanced, and that's one of the reasons why you guys invited me, because I am from a different region completely. Okay, I'm from the Bassa and the Montserrata region. Okay, so um, a lot of things he alleged that day, and I'm glad Mr. Wright has come here this evening to refute, some of the claims, or to elucidate, to give more information about some of the things that Mr. Obed might have gotten wrong or needed a little more ideas about. So it was a challenge. Maybe he will come at another time. But Mr. Wright, I think you heard the program. You heard the things that were said, and we would like, to hear your side of it. Maybe that way stimulate Obed to come on and the debate.
Well, I didn't, unfortunately, I didn't follow him on Focus on Liberia, but I was advised by my brother there, and I went on his Facebook page. I saw a lot of his, I don't know whether it was just live podcasts or just video recordings. I listened to, a lot of things he said, and as far as the things he said relate to the sub, none of them made sense to me. I think Obey and some other Liberians, they just need to stop that kind of attitude of targeting group of Liberians, sections of Liberia, things, just target people. It is a bad thing to target people. If you have a problem with John Brown, just say John Brown is this, John Brown is this, but they get target of people. And I mean, Obed should know, much as he is so bitter and angry against the CDC, there are Southeasterners who are opposition. As strong as he is, they are not bitter, but they are very strong opposition to the CDC. So, but when he grouped all of the Southeasterners in that, then he's doing injustice to those people. Then the message that these people need to get is that you need to understand what is going on around you, what is being said around you, before you put yourself into anything, you know? So I really come on. That was the major message I was bringing for this brother. He's too bitter, he's too angry. I think this art of targeting people in our country, we should have learned enough lesson about it. We saw what targeting people, can do from 1990 all the way to 1993, in fact, up to the 2000. We saw what it meant to target of people. It's dangerous, and that's what Obed is proving to be, a dangerous guy. Like I said, I went through some of his video recordings and whether they were live podcasts. I've not followed him live, but I was just so taken aback by this guy who has on his profile claiming to have 2 master's degree. My brother, education is about calming a person, any individual who becomes truly educated. You become a calm person, you become a society lover, you become a lover of people. You want the world to be peaceful so that what you have learned, you can have time to share with people. That's what truly educated people do. But we have the pseudo-educated guys there. They are so bitter, they are so angry, they target people for nothing. And when you target a group of people, you are just automatically wrong. And like somebody say, crown people. Some of the things that person will be saying, there are some crown people who agree with you, who stand with you, who are even stronger with you in that view. But when you group all the crown people, then you are wrong. Because, the fact that you group them right away, you are wrong. And so that's the message I want to share with Obed and all of his friends who agree with him in the things he does. And all those who are in that line of targeting sections and peoples in Liberia, they need to stop. We have had enough. This is the time to build together. This is the time to show respect and tolerance for each order in our country.
All right, that was the voice of Mr. Nelson Gilroy, who by now should be debating Mr. Obe Obe on governance issue. But Mr. Obe Obe took the back door, and his excuse is that Mr. Gilroy is not in government. He wants to debate somebody in government. I think that is so much preposterous. Obe Obe, you're not in government, but you claim to know all the things that are happening in government. That is why you want to debate. Mr. Gilbright is saying, Nursing Wright is saying, I'm not in government too like yourself. So why you can't debate me? At least you and nursing are on the same level. You are individuals who care about your country, who following the issue of governance in the country, and you see it differently, he see it differently. You guys come and debate. You say you want somebody in government. Are you up to the level of those guys in government? So I don't understand his contradiction yet. And the reason he can't debate Nancy is because Nancy is not in government. Nancy can't answer questions about governance in the government. But he who not in government can talk about governance. What sense does it make? So I think this brother, he needs to be brought to order with this dangerous rhetoric that he continued to propagate on social media. And Jimmy, Nancy is right here. There are thousands of Southeasterners that completely disagree with President Weah, that disagree completely with this government, and that are on record for holding the government accountable. But they do it in a fashion that show respect to those who are in government because they are human beings. The idea that you have to denigrate, somebody to show that you are strong in your opposition, it's just absurd. And people need to find a way of communicating their disagreement, on the issues when it comes to governance. And I think that's the way to go. But I think obey way and manner of going about disagreement, and try to use the regional, line and putting everybody in a single box. I mean, it's taking away the message that he may have. I mean, the guy got five senses, so maybe there's something he sees, but the way he does it, I think that strategy, it is weak and it's dangerous for our country, given our past.
Let me be the devil's advocate here.
Mm-hmm.
We, some Liberians have done this. It's been a habit over the years. Okay, to stereotype everybody, in the same way. For instance, in the war, okay, when the war came, they started looking for Crown and Medingo. Why? Because they had been targeted by some people, even if you had never participated in government, you are never benefited, you are poor. They were attacking people in the villages who had nothing to do with it. They didn't benefit from any of the administration.
Not at all.
So is this a trend in Liberia that that we don't like to look at people individually? We like to group people, before the war, before the war in 1980, they had to claim that Native woman born soldier, Congo woman born road.
Right.
Everybody in that era was targeted. Even if you had fought against that system that would suppress other people, even if you have fought, as far as they're concerned, you are part of that group. You are not given. So it may be a trend that we need to expose our people to stop stereotyping people, stop grouping people just because they are of a particular ethnic group. It's not fair. Look at people individually. I think that Martin Luther King said, let's judge people not by the color of their skin, but the content of their character.
Exactly.
right? So we are doing it today, and this was a typical example we saw the other day. I'm definitely sure all Southeasterners are not pro government, but why are we doing it? And doing this sort of thing is dangerous because when something happens, then no, you put those people in trouble. We saw it. We saw it in the war. You know, people had to hide their identities before because they were afraid, not because they did anything, but just they were identified. So I think it's something we need to take to our people so that we do not, you know, judge people based on simply on their tribe and or where they come from or something like that.
And that is so true, Jimmy. So let me come to you, Mr. Right. It brings to mind the issue of reconciliation. We need to take a harder look about reconciliation. The last time we had a show here, as a brand new show here, focus on Liberia called On Point. And the guest we had said reconciliation, healing, whatever it is, starts with you as an individual. If we want to be, I think Obe will want to say that he wants a reconciled Liberia. He wants to see reconciliation prevail. He wants to see justice. But the way he acts, the way he talks, the way he generalizes, the way he puts everybody in a particular region, this guy is not acting as though he wants reconciliation or he wants to see a reconciled Liberia. Uh, Mr. Wright, I mean, come on in here. How can we reconcile the country with this kind of dangerous rhetoric?
You know, in the morning, in fact, in human society from time immemorial, everyone in the village or town and everyone in the country will normally not agree with the same formula for solving the problem.
Right.
So human beings have chosen the word majority because if we have a problem that is not solved, everybody running head scatter, there's no peace in the nation. But if a majority is in agreement with something, that cuts down the confusion. That is why we go by this majority thing. You know, I believe very strongly, and I can give the pointers. I believe very strongly that an overwhelming majority of Liberian people want to talk to each other, have an understanding of certain things that happen, get assurances from each other that those things should not be allowed to happen again, and life will go on. For example, we are on a continent where there have been wars in other countries and the wars are resolved. But long after the wars are resolved, you will hear about skirmishes that relate to actors of the war. People still want to settle scores. Fortunately for our country, since the war was officially over in 2003, we have never had a situation where you hear this guy was somebody during the war and he acted against this place and he went there and something happened to him. Let's just look at the two main forces of our civil crisis that were between the brotherly people of Nema and Grand Judea. The Manos and Gios on one side, the Manigos and Crown. Today, when you go in Grand Judea County, the number one thriving business people in our county, are our brothers and sisters from Nema County. We mix together. They are trading, they are making the economy of Grand Judea to be boiling. You will never hear any kind of account from Grand Judea about some Nema guy was robbed or he was dead because you're some former fighter. That is an example that people are willing to live together. If the two main belligerents of the civil crisis can treat each other like this, I remember in 2000, the first after the post-war, the first major country league found out between Nema and Grand Judea. I still remember how Nimbayans and Grand Judeans were going to the radio stations together and talking about peace and love and happiness. I have an older sister, Sophia Power, my husband's from Nema. She has a friend, former superintendent of Nema County, Edith Gonglo. How the two put their friendship, how a movement, and they even took it to the radio station and spoke. And Grand Judeans went in Nema for that game, no incident. Nehemiah went to Grand Leader, no incident. All over Liberia, no incident. That's an indication that generally the Liberian people are willing to talk to each other, learn lessons, get assurances from each other, and will go on. Some people think that when we say we don't want work crime code, it means we're scared of something or not. But you see, when we can solve a problem without creating a crisis, why should we abandon that path to go into solving the problem and creating a major crisis? That's what the work crime code is most likely to bring. And I can give another example. In the United States here, I'm sure you remember this guy who was fighting for Ulimo, they call Jungle Java.
Yeah, Jungle Java.
They got arrested. You saw how Facebook became saturated with hate speech across. People who felt that this guy fought against the interest during the war, they were happy that you arrested. Those who felt that they got fighting hard, trying to do the interest, they were supporting him. Point number one. Number two, when Agnes Reed Taylor was arrested in the UK, it brought out divide again. For other people who were not pro NPFL, they were like, yeah, they had the NPFL now. And then NPFL supporters, they were there. You see, so these are things. The work crime code, yes, you could get prosecute people, but then you create hurt. Because you may be taking somebody's hero. You may be taking somebody's savior and imprisoning them. And the person will see other people in the other camp that he consider or she considers bad that are not touched. So then you might be solving the problem, but then you're creating crisis. So reconciliation, my only disappointment is this government has openly declared through the president that reconciliation is the direction. But they have a government entity. I think they call it the reconciliation, but that's a government entity. I remember Lehman Bowie was heading that entity before.
Yeah, even the president was appointed there by the former president Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. I think is the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, something like that.
No, that's the government entity is existing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's existing right now. So I don't know what they are doing. They should take advantage of the government's position of reconciliation is the way. I told somebody, if I had an opportunity to be in that office, it would not take me a year to let Liberian people know that we are to the point of making sure we put this war behind us once and for all. There are some bad things that happen. We can do nothing about them anymore. There are potential for great things for our country. Those are the things we can do something about. And those are the things I will pursue. So reconciliation is the answer to Liberia's problem.
Let me ask you that again. Let me pursue the devil's advocate since Mr. Obed is not here today. He said one of the things he said that the administration is characterized by all top positions being filled by Southeasterners. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I think I agree that it's a valid point. And then patriotic Liberia to be concerned, we have 16 ethnic groups in our country. We have regions, west, northwest, northeast, southeast, this, that. And the government of the Republic of Liberia is the biggest employer. So the government needs to use that means as the biggest employer to try to balance. But then if you look at the things we've been passing through, and you look at other world examples, the government wants to make sure it has people that it can trust, that it can depend on in terms of disseminating its policies, its priorities, all these things. So if that is not happening, and we got somebody listed the crew officials, and these are people they got referred to as Southeasterners, or let's say I agree with him, Southeasterners, or list of Southeasterners who are government officials. There is a need for people to obey, to redefine the way they pursue the thing. Get put it on Southeasterners. Of course, there are the number of people from the Southeast. You can't blame them. You can't blame down the Southeast. There was a time during early time that Northeasterners were playing in government. No one made an issue of it. There was a time that Ellie even said she put her son in a position because he's the one she trusts. I mean, it just went like that. These are things that as Liberians, we can meet and talk about. That is why a debate is very important. The debate is not about winning somebody. Like you debate the person, I want a guy, I plug the guy. Debate is not about that. A debate is bringing up ideas that people who have not heard, but the opportunity was provided and the ideas are brought forth. How do we stop, a president relying on one section of people or one ethnicity? And I hope, President, we are, listen to these things, that the whole country is looking up to you for appointments, for positions. You can form a kind of appointment committee, which is under you, to see how you can get the officials. Even if one candidate gets 7, another one gets 3, but at least there's an average number of top government officials that come from all the countries. That will make people to politically see that you mean it. So then you think that election time, some countries you don't even have to go campaign that because they already respect that you are a fair player. But don't let angry people like Obede, the rhetoric for angry people like Obede to influence votes that you are one-sided, you are that sided. So just to, I just want to say that I cannot agree with him. But like Jay said, you can't be doing nothing like you beating war drum. This is a country, you got a right to talk about things that you're not happy with, but talk them sense, with sense, talk them with respect, talk them that you are a human being, talk to another human being. Don't talk to them like you are a war front commander talking to an opponent.
Mr. Nelson, right there, giving his thoughts on the issue of the current government being dominated by people from the southeast. And Jimmy, we're trying to look at this thing holistically. The point that Mr. Wright just talked about is on the basis of expediency. It's on the basis of the understanding that, hey, the country belongs to all of us. And so, as a leader, while it's true, the right is yours to decide who you factor into your government, do so with the understanding that you are the president for everybody. So it is in your best interest, it's in the interest of peace and reconciliation and stability in the country. It's politically expedient for you to balance your government in a way that it will not be viewed as you being selective as to who occupies top position in the government. Because mind you now, if you do so in a way that more of the people are from the region you're from, it raises eyebrows. And now you give people legitimate reason to say something. Having said that, Jimmy, the very Obe who is making all the noise, he's okay with Trump having all Republicans, in the current administration, because he's a Republican, he supports Trump, and he finds absolutely nothing wrong with Trump having only Republican in government. I'm sure his justification will be the country is different. But here's the thing, the president reserved the right. He reserved that right to say, hey, you come in government. I mean, I'm not saying to say that if I were the president, that's what. No, I would never and ever do that. I will balance my government on the basis of region so that I can be seen as the people's president, a president for every ethnic group or every region. That's what I would do. But holistically speaking, the president did nothing wrong legally, right? By doing so. I'm not justifying here. We're just having an honest discussion, Jimmy.
Yeah. Before you get him, people build affinity or they build a group by ideas, ideology. Now, the Republicans have a certain ideology. There's some core virtues they believe in. They don't believe in. They believe in choice. They don't believe in choice. In other words, they say every child should not be. Abortion should not be allowed. They have a certain nature about taxes. They don't like taxing the rich. So there are certain ideologies that the Republicans have embraced. So they try to bring in people who embrace the same ideologies. That's why they try to appoint only certain kind of people to the Supreme Court bench because of their beliefs and virtues. Okay? So that can be understood why one would want to bring only Republicans into the administration. But when it comes to tribe, is there an ideology in the tribe, or is it loyalty that will encourage people to bring in the same tribal people? Is it ideology? Is it loyalty? What is it that we think will make somebody want to bring more of their tribe into an administration as opposed to making it by merit only?
I think people believe that with their fellow tribesmen in big and strategic position, they have people who have unquestioning loyalty to them. That's a major thing. A tribe, man, you and the person on the same tribe, you get feel that person has complete, you have the person's complete loyalty, you know. But I don't think ethnicity offers automatic loyalty. So I mean, people are looking for loyal people to work with them. But there's a government system, and you as president, when you appoint somebody, you have a goal that you want that person to achieve, and you set standards that person can meet those goals within time frames. Who can meet goals? You rotate the government is about rotating people. It's not about planting people. You know, you appoint somebody on a job for 4, 5, 6 years. You know, you're creating something that is dangerous. And when those kind of people that put president that they are loyal to him or her without question. So yes, people they do these things. They're looking for loyal workers. But the loyal workers take advantage of the president's perception or thought that they are loyal to him or to do the wrong things.
Well,
Because
do you think?
the president will not be in the street to hear what people say. He
Well,
relies on, he relies on those very people.
Let's
But they don't come to
look at
tell
this.
him exactly what is going on.
Let's look at this from another angle, gentlemen. Could this guy just be out there looking for a job? Meaning that the rhetoric that he is spewing, is he trying to demonstrate how much of a loud voice he is, and how he can draw the crowd so that he can go out there and have the opportunity for the opposition to hire him? Because yeah, I mean that this doesn't reflect who he is, but he is doing this because he is trying to prey on the Liberian people's sensitivity during the political time. So he says this rhetoric so that he can get paid. I mean, he told us, he admitted that whole thing with Alex Cummings, that it wasn't true. The whole thing about Alex Cummings being gay. You know, so I mean, how do we know that this is not what he does every so often, political campaign, to try to put some money in his pocket? That's his resume. That's my job, nothing personal.
And William, before we can bring Nelson to comment, let me play that clip here quickly, folks. Let play that here quickly. Roll it.
Now you want to say the men are gay? You call the man gay? And I get it. I invented it and I stuck it on Ellis Cumming, and it stuck. It stuck. Today did I get it still on Ellis Cumming? It was something I invented. And the way I did it, I called somebody from Atlanta, where you are living. So I created a story, and I called the person and attached the person into it. The person is a big Liberian guy too. He said, yeah, my man, will tell you that true. So I used that person as a reference, that information. So that's what we did for Joshua to get him to where he is. Shit. Man. Politics is a big game, man. Yeah, so I'm not confess that whole gay thing I invented it.
Thanks for confessing.
Yep. You know how someone picking working right? Publish that story, the one about his wife and everything. Shit. That's what we did for we are. Because we are going to talk. We don't even want for we have to come to the microphone. We don't want to come to the microphone. Because if we are coming to the microphone, please. Now you don't want to say the men are gay. You call the man gay. And I get it. I invented it and I stuck it on Ellis Kuman. And it's stuck. It's stuck. Today did I get it still on Ellis Kuman. It was something I invented. And the way I did it, I called somebody from Atlanta, where you are living. So I created a story and I called the person and attached the person into it. The person is a big Liberian guy too. He said, yeah, my man, I will tell you the truth. So I used that person as a reference. That information. So that's what we did for Joshua.
Okay, Anthony, I muted it.
All right, folks, we are back with you here. Again, the broadcast you are following here is our Saturday special, and we are having a panel discussion on some national issue. Right now, we are on the topic reconciliation, the rhetoric that we use day by day. We should be careful what we say and what we do, because those things can become sources of conflict. And that is why we need to be very careful. So let me come back to you, Mr. Wright. You heard Obe saying there. Earlier, William was saying, could individuals or some people be doing these things just for the political favor, or for people to come to them, and for them, it's just for some benefit at the end result. This is Obe confessing that the thing about Alexander coming be he invented it, his own words. I mean, how dangerous is that kind of behavior?
Very, very dangerous, and that should be something that people like Alexander Kuman and other opposition figures that Obe is associating with, to know that they are playing with a serpent, not playing with somebody who mean well for Liberia. Obe and his kind of people, they do these things because they want something personally. Obe has been speaking a lot of things, and I think the guy just wanted a job, a good job that he can use to get what he want to get for himself. But by confessing this evil that he did beyond this man, the opposition that he's aligning himself with, associating with, she know that this guy is not someone to align with. And for all of us who are listening to him, how can we take him to be credible when he can't out to say this is this and that is that? This guy has lost credibility. He knows that in a decent society, in a highly literate society, they can become automatically a meaningless guy with this confession.
But remember now, this is the rhetoric that, remember, this is campaign season. So this is political warfare time. So you may have a whole bunch of players and pieces that you can pick, that you can choose from, depending on which side of the opposition you are on. So this guy is a weapon. So question, do you use, or do you worry about the weapon that is being used, or do you educate the folks on the ground? Because
there are some people who may try to use him, but they will not come open because they know who he is. So they will not come open by using underground. But you and I will listen to him now. We can know that even after this political season, this is one dangerous guy in Liberia who will do anything to have his way. And these are not the kind of people that Liberia needs. After the experience that we have had, this is not the kind of person we need. These are not the kind of people that we need. And our young people need to know that everything they hear, because most of the young children are coming up, when they hear the kind of post speaking, they follow them and think by following them, they are militants. But you are following a liar, and a dangerous liar too. You are following somebody who will do anything against anybody as long as he feels he and that person are not on the same side. So I do understand.
He not say that he's you call him that, he may say that he is a political strategist.
Yeah, but he's confessing that he's a political strategist who is confessing to lie and slander. Not just lie, but slander.
I think we're coming to a point here where what is the underlying factor here? And we talking about having a certain moral code. Yeah, there are some people believe in the ends justify the means,
Yeah,
Machiavelli.
our
But
politics is all about.
yeah, and many people are given to this concept that we get it any way you can. But and if you look at the country today, Liberia, there's a lot of compromise on laws and everything. So get it any way you can is almost the norm.
Yeah, get it any
So
way you
there
can.
has to be
Get
a
anything you can.
time, yeah, there has to be a time or a conversation where we need to cultivate good habits, things that will not hurt, will be more ever more lasting, that will build good character, that will build more honesty and more integrity in. But this conversation has to be taught to young people. We come through war, so we had to do anything we can to survive. But today, we're no longer supposed to be um, descending to doing anything we can. We
All
need to
right.
start thinking now
Mhm.
about a code of conduct that we want to project for the future. And that conversation has to be had. Should we hear the incendiary remarks on some of the programs, cursing people, mothers, cursing people. I mean, and sometimes you see these people are being, you know, say politics make strange bedfellows. People coming together, okay? But is it because we don't have a moral code that we are following? Is that the reason? Is it absent? That we don't have integrity. That just because I'm going to be friends with you so long you cussing my enemy or my opponent, mom or pa, it's good. Instead of saying no, I draw the line there.
Well,
We
we're
can be,
talking about we are really talking about 3 months from now, 4 months from now will be elections. Okay, gentlemen, election. And so you are looking at the Liberian style of politics.
From the foundation of our country, from the foundation of our country, our forefathers, the founding fathers, they were faced with a lot of challenges. And so they focused only on certain things, but those things are related to the groundworks. They didn't really focus on those things. They have major challenges for outside forces, so they were distracted. However, there was a time that they would have come to start establishing a moral foundation for the country, but then we were already caught in this, creating impression out there that everything is okay here.
Gentlemen.
So that's the problem of Liberia. That is what I say. Issues like this thing to debate. They are very good issues. We need to start talking among ourselves. We're going to be debating over issues, for the ideas, for the suggestions to come forth. We may not, you and myself, for our childhood to now, we may not have enjoyed our country the way we really prayed the country should be enjoyed. But now we can take steps so that our children and their children who are not yet born, when they come, they can enjoy our country. We can continue on that path.
Gentlemen.
Politics are dead again. Politics not necessarily dead. People make it dead.
Gentlemen.
But they don't have to make it dead. They don't have to.
They don't have to. Gentlemen, let's do this. Again, folks, you are watching Focus on Liberia. This is Saturday special. And this is a panel discussion, serious discussion. We are reflecting on the things that are happening, the way we communicate and all that. Gentlemen, let's come to the issue of campaign, election, and the debate. Things that people should be doing, do or don't do during campaign season. Earlier, Jimmy was talking about where is the moral core. William Bernanke is on the opposite side of the political spectrum. And so because he more like an opponent in a race that I'm in, whoever says the worst about him, I'm friend with that person, even though I know that person saying those things, not saying the right thing. All right. And that person will play along, all because the rhetoric, the lies are intended to damage William King, thereby increasing my chances. And so I like that.
Yeah.
Forgetting to know that by allowing such language, such behavior to be carried out, I am damaging the fabric. I'm damaging the very political system that I'm in because I'm making it toxic. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not making it productive for people coming after me to be able to inherit a political process, that not only excites, but, projects good morality. And so you see, gentlemen, what I want us to talk about here is that why, in the name of God, with somebody who criticizing me today, sometimes in just an hour or just in a month period, will be behind me and I'll probably stand with the person and raise the person hand. One example is Ma Jabate and Chris Monsele. These are individuals who were with Darius DeLong. They were louder. They were the loudest mouths for DeLong. Ma Jabate even went as far as calling Thomas Fowler a criminal. But now he stands with Fowler, and Fowler to accept him, all because of what he intends to get at the end of the day. What does that say about the individuals who are doing this thing in our country? Let's start with you, William. Play some politics here, William. Come on. William, you unmute. You're not ready. Let's go to Jimmy. Jimmy, come on in.
You know,
Mhm.
about this campaign, you know, we were talking about following code and rules.
Mhm.
Is the election, is it campaign season over? We have certain laws on the book when campaign season is supposed to begin. Is it being observed? People are not supposed to be campaigning at this time. I don't think it's open yet.
No.
Nobody's following rules. And it comes back to the same thing. We're not observing codes and rules. We come together and we form a constitution, say we will abide by these rules. But everybody, if they're not abiding by the rules, then it's just chaos. Are we supposed to be campaigning now? At all? And if everybody is guilty of it, why isn't there a reaction from the bodies who's supposed to be responsible, like the NEC? They're supposed to say, no, you're not supposed to be campaigning. So why are they not doing their job? So, and my take is, again, somebody was saying this thing is about Southeasterners occupying most of the positions. Again, it goes back to a code of ethics. Yes, you want to see your people involved, but your ethics tell you it should be fair and you should share the position. Everything has to be about your code. Your life is about the things you believe in and how you carry yourself and the laws you respect. If you guide yourself, if you have these guiding principles, everybody should have guiding principles. That even when you're faced with not sure what to do, those principles will kick in and you make the right decision. Okay, I employed some of my people. I think I need to give somebody else a chance. So I just think it all depends on your code, your ethics of your life that will make the difference.
Thank you, Mr. Eastman. Let me go on this one. Look, I think what you're seeing is that you see an evolution or evolvement of certain societies, and where now in the U.S. politics is a little bit cleaner, but the game is still dirty. Of course, over here in the U.S., it will be political suicide for an opposition to accuse someone of being something they're not. For example, accuse them about their sexuality, sexual orientation. When it comes out that that's not true, you're going to lose a lot of points. Now, in the context in Liberia, you have to look at it from a side that I'm not sure if we are at that moral level yet, which is sad, but I don't think that we are. And what I mean by that is that the masses are responding to a different kind of political rhetoric. They want to see a strong man. They want to see somebody who can evoke certain things, and that's what they want to see. Now, on the other end too, you have certain political, what I call political low-hanging fruits that you can play with your opponent, meaning you can get some points with. What are some of those low-hanging political fruits? Well, some of those low-hanging political fruits are simple. Congo versus Native people, that's one very simple low-hanging fruit. The other one is the Firestone deal. That's another low-hanging fruit. The other one is the TRC, Truth and Reconciliation. That's another low-hanging fruit. The other one that's a low-hanging fruit is actually roads. What such and such person did with roads. And the fifth one is corruption. It doesn't have to be in that necessary order, but those are some low-hanging political fruits that you kind of use because you know that people have felt a certain way about that. And so these guys that you see out here, people like Obed and Japate and them, what they are hired guns. Okay, they are hired guns. And so as a politician, if you're running, can you win without using these guys? And that's something that has yet to be seen because remember, the CDC is a very, very, very powerful opponent. They're very powerful regardless of what anybody say. They have a lot of voters, so you have to overcome a whole lot. And what I see is a little bit that's shifting is I think Alex Cummings, he has seen that he will have to demonstrate a strong man mentality at the moment. He has to show that more and more. Now, will he go all the way over to that side? I don't know. I don't think so. But I know that he will have to demonstrate the ability to play on the Liberian turf. And right now, he's starting to. He has 2 years, long runway. So some of these folks are folks that he will have to look to see how he can employ them. Maybe not to the far extreme as the Jabatet and Obed, but he will have to look to see what kind of folks he can employ to steer some of these voters away from CDC. And it's going to be very challenging.
Fair point. Mr. Wright?
Okay, well, all you guys are making great points. From my take, you know, the way of life of a people contributes to the politics of the nation. People start living a life normally, doing things, and then certain things happen in the country. Those things are automatically influence a new culture. The culture is an evolving thing. And one of the things that affected the Liberian culture, political culture, is the Civil War. You know, from the time of the Civil War, this idea of qualification for jobs kind of changed when the warlords had to appoint certain guys who didn't know their left and right because they needed the guys to be in place to maintain their positions in the country. Even following the war and Taylor became president, I have a very close friend who knew certain things about Taylor. There are certain appointments Taylor didn't want to make, but he had to make them because these are guys who he depended on to become what he became. Now, when the guys then took over now, they knew that when things returned to normal, they should hold those positions. But then they wanted to be in those positions, so they had to do certain things to hold those positions. Bam, new politics in place now. New politics.
Yeah, you're right. Look at legislation.
They want to put it front to honor man, fellow commander to be the new commander. They are put it in politics now. Yeah. If you look at it, that's what many people are resorting to now. They're using the old Civil War tactics to take positions. Either you use money, either you use some tactic that you make people believe that you're able to do this. If they don't do that, they don't stand with you. You see? So it's our culture. Now, the people who are sort of act to change that, one is our national legislature. When we look at the composition of our legislature again, then this becomes a very difficult task, you know, because no one will be involved in making a law that will throw you out or that will become difficult, that will create difficult for you to do certain things. On the other hand, the executive of the country, the country's leadership is supposed to move the citizenry in in directions that are positive for the country in terms of building this moral code, this moral code that my brother talked about. It had to come from the executive through policies and means of governing. You can set into place a moral conduct, and you enforce those who breach and those who go by them. But then again, people in the very government and the executive, who the president or his top people depend on, and those people are the ones who are going to breach those things. So the laws will be there, very good in intent, but they are not followed. But what I can tell to you guys and to those who are listening, as long as we are alive, we have a job to do. Nobody should think that we cannot change our country to become a moral country, or to start operating on moral grounds. We can do it, but first we must believe that we can do it, and then individually we must start doing those things. That is why we should shun politicians who are just they want to do politics openly by insulting, causing murders, doing ugly things public. We got to shun them. What my brother said about the T fella, we are calling this guy Jabate. Jabate call you a criminal. You said I'm true. Now you tell Jabate to be a guy to support you. Jabate is a good guy. So how the heck can we say Jabate we're not talking the truth? So you want to find out another point, you start knowing that somebody who was nasty on you before, then all of a sudden the person became a bad fellow. It speaks a lot. But the guys are only thriving because morality is still way down the order. But I believe at some point, when we don't give up those who anticipate moral politics in our country, if we don't give up and we start hating a little bit later, at some point people get tired with this disgruntled and rude politics, and we'll have to come back to the politics of morality.
Thank you. Very good points that Nelson, Propana read there, Jimmy. I could see you in agreement. Almost everything he said. But here is my pickup, and then I can bring you in, Jimmy. The profound thing I heard from him was that when the war came, because he said culture is an evolving dynamic, and when the war came, it was this like what's it called it? Survival of the fittest, right? And we have to fight for food. You have to run to get across the river to survive, and so you have to have a gun to be respected. And so everybody, was fighting for something and didn't care less about the other, and people were getting killed, and there was no accountability. The soldiers would know they were rude, they would insult anybody, be it your father or somebody and they would get away with it because they had the guns. And so when the war subsided, that behavior remains even to today's day. And so, Jimmy, that is profound. But what I want to ask you is maybe you've been a little more around than I have. In the days of Doe or Todman, did we get this kind of politics where politicians go and just insult people? Was that happening? I read a lot about people praising the sycophancy was in the roof. That one is not new today from my reading. But the politics of insults because of you being on the opposite side of the political divide. Did we get this from the war? Is this the byproduct that the war gave us, Jimmy?
Oh yes. Even the politics of the last time we had a election was 1985, when Doe ran against Jackson Doe, when and Colette. They had a part. I think they call them LAP or something like that. It was not. It wasn't to the level that you heard insults. It wasn't like that. This is more characteristics of today. Wow. That's why I say we have lost some elements of civility because of the war. But here's the thing. Yeah, I understand that it would have happened in a war, but we're not in a war now.
Yeah.
We need to start going back to respecting the laws and the codes we want to live by. But that has to be promoted. Just what Mr. Red was saying, that has to be promoted by all of us. I mean, and if we're going to accept when it's in your favor, we will accept people insulting other people. You know, we should not be accepting stuff like that, regardless if it's in my favor or not, because you are compromising a moral code when you do that. And if you compromise that moral code, it has its snowball effect. It will go into others. It will erode the moral fabric of the country. So until we say no, I will not accept people behaving this way. Unless we reject it, it will continue. It will not stop. It will continue.
And gentlemen, any of you can jump on this one. Jimmy said it will continue, it will not stop, and that is profound. So, but we have to stop this behavior because it's ugly. And even I see that there are people in my generation, you would think, should be doing better or should even agree to change. I don't see that. And I can tell by how people watch the podcast on Facebook. The greatest or the deadliest the insults are on your platform, the more your viewers become. The most disrespectful you are to your opponent or to the other side on the political divide, the more viewers you get. The more you yell on top of your head that the sky falling, the more viewers you get. So the trend is telling me that this is the new normal, but we know that this new normal should not be accepted because it's dangerous for us as a society. The bigger question is, William, how do we change this?
Well, I think one of the things that I see happening is commitment to doing what you say you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the more you do what you say you're going to do, the more you gain the people's trust. The more you're going to gain the people's trust. What we have here was something very interesting in that you had President Sirleaf come in power, and people had great expectations, huge expectation. And this was someone that was educated at the international community and had all these things behind her. And through her administration, they took the country certain steps forward, but it doesn't appear to have been enough to where people were convinced that someone with intellectual capability have the best interest for their country. And so the youth, there was a lot of disenfranchisement, and they turned to someone who they felt could really help and support their cause. Mm-hmm. And we are 2.5 years into this current administration, and that what they're looking for is still yet to be proven that this is the guy. But I think that that's one of the biggest thing is that people feel disenfranchised, and if you give people jobs, I believe that will help. And if you provide them some of the things you want on your agenda, then this kind of rhetoric will begin to slowly dissipate. But right now, people are just angry. There's high unemployment, and every day you spend maybe 5 to 6, 7, 8 hours of your day thinking about how you're going to get your next food, your next meal. So with that being said, you don't have a lot of time to really intellectualize stuff or grow your cognitive intellectual side. You have no capability because you just every day looking for the next meal. So I think that's how it can help.
Thank you. And next thing, if I may come to you, the same question but in a different format, you would think that exemplary leadership, will set the stage here, right? Let me give you the example of Mr. Alexander Cummings. Yeke Koloba protocol language is unacceptable, but he's being healed by the protocol divide, the opposition. Some of them who don't even like that are silent about it. So you would think that Mr. Alexander Cummings will show leadership and say, look, Yeke is not going to follow me around, man. Because while it's true I disagree with President Weah's performance, but somebody who is like on a daily basis insulting him should be seen with me. It means that I accept, I agree with every word that has ever come from his mouth. And so his followers will do the same. The same can be said about Boaka. Hold on. The same can be said about Ure. And all these guys are in Yeke corner. Why can't they call Yeke and say, look, Yeke, if you want to be part of the CPP, you have to change the way you talk. But Cummings will even justify that that's the man's style. Or what is his name? DeLong will even justify that that's the man's style. But you know it's the wrong style. So where is the exemplary leadership that this leader need to show? Or Nelson, come on.
Over the time, I will say this today again in this public manner. Our leaders from time immemorial have shown multiple faces. They have shown multiple faces. One, the person who I thought would have been who have demonstrated exemplary leadership was Ellie Johnson Sirleaf. But very soon in her administration, she did something. I was so disappointed, and and she never changed my mind on it. Even though there's some political things she did that I like today about her, but she did something. Early in her administration, when she had Willie Knuckles as a state minister, they got exposed on the internet having two women who are not his wives. At that time, Ellen was out of the country. That thing, it went viral. When the president of Liberia returned home, a president who was the first woman president on the continent of Africa, she spoke and said, but in our country, a man can have more than one wife. I was like, so the two people that are there his wife? The president who should be the number one moral example gave her in the country said, she was implying that the man is right because men can have 2, 3 wives, but the two women were not his wives. You understand? So she felt right there. She should either don't speak on that thing or like just fire this guy and remain mute. They have to treat a friend. But and then on the issue of Alexander Cummings grew up in the United States where politics has been moral. Today now, the 45 things, but I'm in American party before your presidential hopeful or candidate, and you say something immoral, you finish. Then you've been in the country 20 years, you go back home and you're associated with somebody like that. Well, like somebody said, there's no law against that. Morality doesn't need law, it just needs the conscience of people. But what he is planting for himself, I don't know what faith will hold for him, but I can let him know that he's planting a means by which 15 tomorrow Alexander Cummings become president. The one you can call about doing a first great thing. President rudeness that will be applied on him because all the people that people get a stars. But that's a problem we have in our country. When they get into power, they fall to that old statement that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. People forget that when you're to a certain position, high position, people look at you like a kind of God on earth. When you smile, they smile. Just look at the president in a group of people. When that president laughs, even when he giggles, the whole place are laughing. When the president turns his face, you don't see anybody smiling. When the president points a finger, everybody looking there. That shows that you are the example giver. So you can lead a whole nation to good or to bad. And there is something that's lacking. This is something that's lacking in our country. And that is something that I look up to politicians to sit down at debate tables, to be doing that, to be fighting a debate with John Weah, who will not debate with them. John Weah is not fluent enough to debate anybody. You only after maybe doing what he can do in his belief that he's doing good, but you want to devote time to say you want to debate John Weah, you're wasting your time. He will not do it. I don't blame him. I can talk good. I'll not be expressive with what I want to debate for. but they need to be debating the issues of morality, the issue of rightness. But then unfortunately, they think this issue of immorality and rudeness is going to pay off positively for them. So they want to accept it. When things turn around tomorrow, before they want to speak against them, then it will be wrong. It will be late. But like I said before, I respect Focus on Liberia. What you guys are doing, opening room for this thing. Maybe also time you gotta invite people, the pastors and other moral leaders in society to come and speak on morality. And but sometimes or towards the event, people will soon start listening because everybody will soon realize that the politics that Paul and Prophet Kida instead of engage in, it has nowhere to go. It has nowhere to go. It's coming to an end. It will end. And people want a new place.
But I still have a lot of, you see, whenever you have President Weah in the election, the numbers, when this guy is coming in hard with the youth, I mean, I have yet to see a candidate that's going to resonate so strong with the young people between the age of 18 to 25. I have yet, and Liberian youth vote. And you see the language that Yeke Koluba and Cummings, I don't know if it may be a political strategy because you have to show to those young people that you are a strong man. That's the language of the people on the ground. I'm not talking about when you come to the US. So I'm saying is that, do you sacrifice your political career because of this moral thing? Do you try to change that system or do you go with it to get to the top? Because I think Cummings for Liberian politics, the guy is too boring.
And let me jump in, William. And that is why when we analyzed Cummings' speech here, I was like, this guy is trying to play along. The game is being played differently in Liberia. The political language in Liberia, you have to play Mr. Tough Man. You have to be a tough guy. Because let's look at the youth, for example. What is the militancy thing? The youth are the vehicle for any political victory in Liberia. And
just upon our militancy on Facebook exchange, a female open a post. She says she's a militant. She says she's challenging me on my council. Of course, each other she's a militant. Can go on.
Can you imagine that? So this militant idea in our politics, because if you are a militant, if you are a soldier, we watch military movies, you have to talk tough. If you don't talk tough, you are seen as a weakling. Now, the point you were making earlier, William, Tipote ran several times. My memory tells me about 3 times or more. And throughout, old man Tipote conducted himself as this moral rectitude character in Liberia. He resonated with people that yes, he is who he carries himself to be. But that was not enough to win political traction for a political victory. So if there is anything we'll remember Tipote for, he was that good man. But when it came to campaign season, they will say, no, Tipote is not a guy. Because he carried himself so easy, so refined, and in Liberian politics, that kind of character, it doesn't make a good president. It has been proven time and time again. Taylor Kim, he was the tough guy with the biggest gun he got elected. The people in the CDC that helped to get we are elected today, those boys were tough. You see the burial, you see the dancing, you saw the protests, you saw the Mamba Molu. These guys were over the place, like the Obe that we talk about, who invented some. So, and Obe language during the campaign, as an example, it was toxic. The guy was even saying that if it meant that, they execute certain people so as to pay CDC wave to political victory, they needed to do that. That's how people got so extreme in their politicking. And because they
CDC,
feel that that
CDC
is
has
the kind of
equivalent to
politics
900.
that resonate with people. And it has become a reality in our country that to take that away, to bring the politics to Anthony Sear kind of politicking, Jimmy Eastman kind of politicking, where you want to have a safer, responsible conversation. They say, oh, that man, that bold man, that man move from here. We are in trouble here, folks.
Seriously.
Do you think, let me throw this out. A couple of things, right? I think for Alexander Cummings, number one, it's going to sound funny, but I think he needs to come up with a theme song. I haven't seen it yet, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have a theme song. Number two, how do you recognize the youth from Alex Cummings and from the CCP? You don't have no recognition. So right now, CDC got the red berets, right?
Yeah.
So think about the youth on the other side. They have nothing to identify them. Not a T-shirt, not anything, right?
Yeah.
That looks boring. I don't want to, if I'm a young guy, I want to go with the hip stuff. So either he would have to look at these branding things to get in the game. It is not that you may win more members. It is so that you can keep your members that you already have. You know, this is the whole thing with in the US. You know, nowadays Samsung, Apple got their own Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Disney got their own Netflix, right? Why? Because they know that the customers are running away, right? So they got to keep them.
Yeah.
So the playing field for him. Let me see a green hat, black hat, purple hat. I don't know. Let me see a song. You know, move out the way. That kind of country giant, right? Right. I mean, monkey come down, right? Monkey way small, right?
Gentlemen,
You know,
Jimmy, let me read some comments quickly. Let me read some comments quickly. Let's start with this one from Cassidy Double Rights. Mr. Nelson Wright, can you please give some audience some respect and sit up straight? Oh, Mr. Wright is sitting up straight. Now, double again, generalizing an entire group of people just because few persons is very sad, and I hope that very Liberian can desist from it. Bindu Dua, hey, Mr. Nelson Gay, how is everything? Hope you are doing fine. Yeah, man is doing fine here. Let me read this one from Robin Cooper. Tell George Bully the people of Bon County have not forgotten the atrocity and mayhem he and the LPC carry out in Bon County. He will pay for it one day. Bunch of murderers. You know, somebody's going after Bully there. Let me read this other one from Mr. Blamo. Blamo writes, if white people do the same thing, obey with think nothing wrong with it. So, all right, that's the comment. Let's read the one from Mr. Dave Ja. Dave Ja writes, if the argument is about Southeastern occupying positions, then that is progress. The southeast of Liberia makes up a large sway of the country. That is a sharp departure from the old business of appointing people of one tribe. Ellen appointed her children and her tribal people. Tobo did the same. Do did the same. So taking a regional approach is an improvement from the business as usual. I hope the argument is about competence, performance, and efficiency. Dave Ja, I don't know whether you're trying to be sarcastic. He's saying that, well, it was tribe, it was family, now it moved to region. Maybe that is improvement. Dave Jai again, the people have to demand real changes because those in power are not going to do so. We need decentralization of administrative, budgetary, economic, and electoral powers. This one is from Joshua. Representative Solomon, George, and Yeke are the champions, talking about that ugly political language people using out there because of the divide. Dave Jai again, right? They can hail Puppet Key despite his denigration of women. Yep, that is true. That man is being hailed. Do you know that his greatest viewers are women.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, so women watch Prophet Key more than any other. And I like the way Dave, named him, man, or Puppet Key. He should be a puppet. It's not a prophet.
Okay.
A few comments there. Who want to pick it up first? Jimmy, you?
Wow, those comments. But first of all, I don't want to address one thing. This militancy,
Right.
that started in 1980.
Mm-hmm.
After the coup d'etat in 1980, all the schools were having coup d'etats.
Yeah.
All the schools were having coup d'etat over what? They said they were overthrowing the. So our children, they emulate what we do. We copy what we do. So this militancy started then, and then through the war, and through several phases of indoctrination, all we hear from our students is Amanda, way too. It's a cry that the South Africans used when they wanted to get power. But now we are absorbed in it, and one way we will get out of that mentality is if we train our people that they don't have to go after government jobs. So they want power so they can get those jobs, so they can get the benefits and all those things that come with it. But if our people were educated or trained, I don't even believe, not even educated, trained as technicians, as carpenters, they will go look for their daily bread somewhere else. And that allure to government would not be where it is. So that is probably where the focus has to be. I know we need roads, I know we need hospitals, but I believe if we train that man to fish, you know what they say, if you give the man fish food one day, you feed him for that day. But if you teach him to fish, you train him for life. I believe if we train our people, that a desire to be in government for power, for those benefits will diminish, and they will go find their livelihood through the ground or through their sweat and effort in other places. That's the only way I see that thing going away. Otherwise, if that is the only way for a better life in Liberia, that's going to be the allure. It's not going to change.
Well, Jimmy, I tell you this much. Right now, the government is very powerful because about 70% of that budget goes to employment. So it's a tough. It's not impossible, but we definitely have to change that. Because
government shouldn't be the main employer in the country. That's the first mistake. We need to find a way, or we need to have a plan in place to move away from government being the main employer. There should be a plan for the generations to come. And one way is to train people. Train them. If you even bring a factory or business in Liberia today, the foreigners will get the job. I go to Liberia every year. All the ministries, all the corporations are foreigners. The engineers, they're not Liberians. We have to train. That is the secret. If we invest in tobacco and precious jewels, if we invest in our youth, especially our women, because women feed families. If you educate or you train a woman, you make her able to survive, you have fed a family. Because the man may leave, but that woman will not leave her child. If we invest in training our youth, our women especially, eventually we will get out of this thirst for government power. We'll get out of it. But until we do, we'll be hearing Amanda way too all the time. The power. Okay, that's what it means, the power.
On this fellow who commented on having to show respect for the audience and sitting up, I can tell you now, since this program started, I've been sitting up straight like this. I get the chair I'm sitting is a straight chair, so there's no way I can even.
I think you were talking about me.
But what I like about his comment was that I like that he said that so that it put me on guard because my mom was not even on audience watching this. But thankfully, I was sitting straight, and I think I've been respectful. But Dover, I respect your comment. Thank you for putting me on track. But I believe I was not doing anything to disrespect the audience. My love for everyone who's watching and listening. Back to the issue of our country again, and I'm one person. I'm very, very optimistic about the future of our country. I believe all the wrong things happening that we are forced to live with and see now will just have to come to an end. The wrong things are flashy, they shine, but they don't last. Because here, look, listen to the gentlemen who are talking here. They all are focusing on morality, and they are not the only young people who are speaking on these things. There is a number of young Liberians who are now realizing, look, we cannot go this way. We cannot go this way. We have to change. So I'm very, very optimistic that our children, and especially their children, will have a beautiful country to live in. But this is an uphill task that we have to face and follow. But I believe we'll overcome. That's my belief of our country. We will rise above all these ugliness that are going on, because ugly things don't last. They are flashy, they act like they are grounded, but they don't last. And on the issue of militancy, I want to tell you between 1986 and 1989, and this whole Russian rhetoric that was brought in by Sawyer and Tana Wallacolly and Communist Wisdom, I'm surprised that in 2015, let's say after the war, being there from 2010 going, they start picking up grounds. That some children will enter, when they go in their villages, hey, comrade militant in the village. I bring a revolutionary greeting. Our actually in villages, speaking, they cannot think. They don't move. Liberia has only one national government university. Shouldn't this university be, pushed in the direction that AIU students are regarded as people who are bringing changes to the country through the positive ideas they are bringing forth, instead of having our children wearing Bosco uniform, red and green berets, and say they are militants? With Amanda. Some of them don't even really understand what they're shouting every day. They say, Amanda, what it was, Amanda. They say Amanda. They just grumble all over the place. We who are looking at morality, we are doing the right thing. We got to keep stressing this thing. We will overcome one of these days and return our country to positive politics.
Gentlemen, we have our first caller. Jimmy, let's take that caller quickly. The man, Witton Ketter. He's a buddy. Witton, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Brother Sony. And hi to your guest, Brother Eastman. And your other host, and I listen to and the other guests on the show. So to be very honest, when I first saw Mr. Cummings and heard he was in the political race, I felt that there was an alternative. But I didn't know he was going to, stood down so low with those people that are there to make his record tinted. And I'm talking about the crew that he joined. Kumi came to the political, theater, with high marks. His first time in the election in Liberia, he got over 100,000 votes. That was a plus to him. He just staying, he just remained what he was at the time and focus on grassroots, other small parties, and put them together, because he was the top dog among the little party other than UP, ALP, and LA. This guy Bronskin Party. He just focused on other small poor and put them together as a group. He would have meant something good. But he came out with this thing, and I agree with him that we can't keep doing the same old thing and expect different results. But yeah, he is doing the same thing that those people did in the past and expecting different results. So it kills that view that he brought. He damaged himself. And like you guys are saying, and I think the prof over there was saying, how is it that you would tell the Liberian people that Yeka Kaluba is doing it in their interest, when Yeka Kaluba was standing and he saw the president use 5 languages? We got our young kids that are growing up in the country, and you want to be a leader of Liberia. So when you come there and people start to use 5 languages on you, how are you going to feel? How are you going to go in the country? Where are we going? If you say CDC did it before, and now is a payback. When we're gonna break this cycle, we want to change the cycle. We want to break that thing that make our country look bad, so we can stop doing the same thing and expect different results. We can start doing different things to expect different results, and that where Kumi fell short. And I think it on all of us to educate our people that we can have difference of opinion. We can, you and myself and also we don't agree on everything, but we never insult each other. You call me your brother, I call you my brother, and we move on and we talk about our country. We don't go about insulting each other and to show what. There's nothing in it. Liberia will still be Liberia regardless of what. So I think it is upon us to educate our people to show some form of decency. And why we disagree. We can show form of decency. And,
Thank you.
the lies, the deception, it all goes to politics. But when you go down and start using foul languages and thinking that is democracy or is freedom of speech, then I say, oh no, that's not freedom of speech.
Thank you, Keto. Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much.
much, Anson.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's bring in Aliu here quickly. Mr. Kamara, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Let's talk it.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Thank you for having me, and thanks to your studio guests in there. I'm really enjoying the show today. Like I was watching the finance minister, former finance minister, with you guys. I just decided to lean back and enjoy the show and get some education. But this time, you guys are going to the point where it's so intriguing and interesting that I had to call in, to give my one or two. And again, thank you for the show. It's very, very enlightening. There's a couple of things I wanted to touch on. I think the panelists in there, they talk about it, but I think they're breaking something under the rug, which is the issue of, avoiding retribution in Liberia under the canopy that if that happens, Liberia could jump into turmoil. I think it's the other way around. If we do not have some sort of retributive justice, Liberia, with the culture of impunity, will continue to exist. Corruption and violence will continue to go on the increase. Rape, we're talking between January and 9, has gone up to 900 cases. That's because of impunity. So for us to say that because the new people operate in Limba County, in Grangida County, and nobody's going after the new people, that is a sign of closure. That is definitely not a sign of closure. We have to have a war and economic crimes code in order to lay this thing to rest. There has to be a way where we can start this whole healing and reconciliatory process. There has to be a way where we can set the precedent to look, if you do this, what the previous generation did, this is what happened to them, and they're still suffering from it. And so if you do it, yours will even be worse. And people will be deterred. So we have to have the World Economic Crimes Code. And you guys may mention something about a University of Liberia. Let me just make this point quick about a University of Liberia when he talked about somebody, the whole militant thing is spreading all over the country to places where it should not be spread. It's true, I agree. I have the radical opinion that the University of Liberia should be banned from participating in national politics on university campus. Thank you so much.
All right. The man Aliu Kamara there. Gentlemen, let me bring in our last caller, Joe Moyu. Joe is a regular caller and follower here at Focus on Liberia. Joe, welcome. How you doing today, my man?
So far, so good, Mr. Sier. Trying small.
All right.
Very hard in our area, but
our topics switch to acceptable political discourse. So what's your contribution?
On Cummings. Cummings, he's not a politician, from what I gather, and just been watching him from afar. I think I met him once also when I was living in California. But he's a technician. He's the sort of person that come in and fix things. He's a blessing to Liberia. He's a blessing to Liberia.
You want to make a disclosure before you continue? I want you to make full disclosure before you continue.
I'm not a member of a political party.
All right. Go ahead.
I'm not a member of any. Yeah, I'm not a member of any political party in Liberia. I watch them from afar. But I've got two books. One called Africa's Business Revolution. It was written by a guy called Archer Leakey from McKinsey and Sons. And you know McKinsey and Sons, they're like the #1 consultancy in the world. Then I have another book, Africa Rising. Both of those books got chapters dedicated to Cummings. The people who wrote these books are not Liberians. They talk about his skill in branding, his skill in marketing, how he took Coca-Cola from a very marginal presence in Africa. He came up with the idea for them to set up a base, and the market share went up to the sky. They made billions just by those two moves. These people are not Liberian people. Africa Rising is by a guy called Vijay Mahajan. He's a professor in Texas. Africa's Business Revolution is by Axel Leakey, a guy called Musa Chironga, and a guy called Georges Deveau. Those people are not Liberians. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The last time I remember when he was running, he mentioned that why can't we aspire for, say, a $1 billion or $2 billion budget? People came down on him. Because we are people with very, very small way of thinking. Liberia has embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
Forget the gold, the extractive sector. But look what we have in terms of tourism. 335 miles of beaches.
Mr. Rita, Mr. Speaker, I have to interject and ask you one question. Can you give me the amount of Liberians?
Go ahead.
Can you give me the number of Liberians or an estimate of how many have read any of those two books in Liberia?
I don't think he will know, will he? I don't think he will know.
An estimate.
No, I wouldn't know, but I wouldn't know, but I read a lot of business books. In fact, usually I don't call to the political show. I only call when you're talking about business.
Yeah. Well,
that's when I call. But these are things that Liberians
don't know. Let him land.
These are things that Liberians don't. Yeah, these are things that Liberians don't know. Other people and these are actually PhD. How they call it? Stanford University. Dr. Mahajan, he teaches at the University of Texas. Those are things that Liberians don't know. The average Liberian talk, Cummings, they try to bring in that, he's against Coca-Cola and all those sort of things. And it doesn't help when he's a very small guy. He doesn't have that stature and all of that. But he's one of the people that people in Liberia need to listen to. He's not a politician, so he will make silly mistakes and all that, but he's the one, he's a blessing to that country. Seriously.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
You ask him who Joe is, he doesn't know me. I met him once.
Thank you.
I'm not a member of ANC or...
Say he can be a blessing. Not a blessing yet. He can be.
Okay,
Joe,
he can be a blessing.
Yeah, Joe, thank you for your contribution. Valid contribution. Okay. Thank you as always. All right, gentlemen, time is fast spent. We got to close it there, but let's go around and then we do our closing comment. I see Mr. Nelson, you wanted to go first.
Yes. On this issue that this last caller was just speaking about Cummings.
Right.
I've read some accounts about Cummings too. But the problem here, and for me, when I say so many things, I let her give the practical example. The problem with Africa and Africans in the diaspora, when we are here, we work on a system. So whatsoever skills we have in us, the results can show. But when we go back to our continent, the system is different. What the guy said was Cummings, it did some real good things for Coca-Cola. And Cummings did those things, but Cummings knew that whatsoever ideas you're bringing, you're in a system that will support the ideas and supply what the ideas needed to make them work. So you put the ideas for, they got the supporting whatever they needed, and it worked. Take for example, when we had George, we are playing at his best in the world to become world best. But let's all be honest. George, we are playing on the Lone Star was not a George we are playing in Europe. And the reason is, for example, when George we are on AC Milan, he had the male feeders their concentration was to bring this ball and put it at the disposal of George Weah to do his magic, and he did it. Ball low starting. The guys who were playing with him, they said they want to make knee alongside him. They were not playing the same way AC Milan were making use of him. The same way put a Lionel Messi when they go to Argentina, different story. That's the same thing. Now look at ANC. Besides Alexander Cummings, I know in Liberia, maybe people have been following ANC, but can someone tell me that besides Alexander Cummings, who else are men or women in ANC? They will say, yes, okay, we get ANC, we get Ellis Cummings, we get Joe Bobo, we get Brown Gate. Do we have any 2, 3, 4 besides Cummings in ANC? He alone cannot do anything. So what Cummings should be doing is to be forming a team, starting and forming a team that we can name into our government tomorrow. We should be able to get about 10 to 15 persons that can count in ANC. The people who have in ANC now are followers. They are the biggest followers that they make their money. So they're all hustling on him. And that's how Liberians act. All of them in the ANC, none of them contributing anything meaningful that the party for Cummings. Anything the party has to do, Cummings has to spend your money. You think he'll be an effective president tomorrow? No, because he may have the ideas, but the ideas will not get support. They put your heart as so crooks. Then you not making friends with Yaka Koduba there. What can you get when you get Koduba to become president? Nothing. So maybe he has to change.
He will get a noise, and those that love Yaket will come on his side, and that's the political pandering that is deceptive of all politicians. All politicians are guilty of that. They pander because of something they know that is not right, but they will play along because at the end of the day, it's about number. And if you don't get the number, you don't win. If you don't win, you don't get to do what you want to do. So that is the game of politics. Something the caller said, Jimmy, that I want you to respond to. We gotta be quick here and get out of here. Is the idea he floated here, and I heard that myself, that Cummings once said we have to grow the budget to at least $1 billion or 2 billion. I continue to say if we want to do a paradigm shift of all the economic and development mess that we have our hands, Liberia needs 10 billion clean, 1 billion in each major sector. And then, so Cummings, he knows the numbers more than I do. I don't know anything about numbers, but from my own log, I'm like, we need 10 billion. And Uncle Sen can give us that 10 billion. We just need to put our house in order and get a team, do the program, draw the projects, and just say, hey, this is our proposal. This is how we'll spend the money. These are the companies we have contracted that will carry on the project. So give them the money, let our job be done, and we have a way to pay you back, and this is the paying back mechanism. Or William, you know numbers. Is that possible?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're looking at, you can definitely leverage. If you bring 3 billion out to the table, you can tell somebody, listen, I bring in 1/3, let me 6 billion more. They would say, yeah, we can leverage something. So there you go. Well, I will wait until my turn unless you want me to go.
Yeah.
No, Jim, let Jimmy go.
Yeah. So growing the budget. Okay. What is a budget? A budget is what you're going to spend in a year for various projects, salaries, and everything. If you're talking about growing a budget, you're talking about also growing your income, because it's your income that will furnish the budget unless you plan on getting loans. So, and just getting loans will not cut it. You have to develop production in the country. Okay. So if he's talking about growing the budget, he must be talking about growing our GDP, encouraging local production. Yeah. Okay. Now we have the resources, and we have resources, but we have not been able to put our uses to good use. Okay. And we're gonna have to be smart, because mind you, Africa is probably the richest, and not probably, it's the richest continent in the world. But this is where you have the concentration of the poorest people. There's something going on with Africa. It looks like it's we've been playing this song and dance for decades.
Jimmy, Elora introduced a whole different topic that require maybe 2 more hours. So maybe let's leave it and end on this acceptable political discourse here.
So I think one, you have to provide hope for people, and that's what we did. People felt that he gave them hope, and anybody who's going to lead Liberia tomorrow will have to provide hope. They have to believe that you will have the solution to their problems. But this government job thing, we have to move away from it. That is not going to cut it.
All right. Thank you, Jimmy. Gentlemen, let's do our closing statement and get out of here. It's 1 hour, 50 minutes gone now. Willen, what do you have to close? Let's close on this path we've been on, acceptable political discourse and behavior. What do we need to do? Yeah.
The last speaker, what he said was so on point. We have individuals who are very smart, who are very intelligent, Liberians who work and who make other companies and who make other institutions money and who make them better. But for some reason, once you transition into the Liberian political arena and you're trying to do some of those same things, it is very difficult. It is very challenging. And the example that was brought up was so telling. I'm not sure where people go, but the acceptable political discourse, I think, is one that tries to stay focused on issues and that do not try to use misinformation and mislead people and prey on people vulnerabilities. And right now in Liberia, if you try to do that, it does not appear, or we have not seen someone that will be victorious using that. So will the opposition result to some of these underhand political discourse? I'm not sure. I don't know. It has yet to be seen. But one thing is for sure, Liberia is a very peculiar people, and our politics is very different than any other place. So anybody who wants to win needs to make sure that they speak to the people on the ground in language they can understand. We just don't want it to get to the point of a moral decay. Thank you.
Mr. Wright?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank, I say thank you to Focus on Liberia, the whole crew, the technicians. I say thank you to the audience and the guys who call in. I thank all of them. I am very optimistic about the future of our country. I have children, and I'm doing everything in my individual power to make sure that my children and their children and their children live in a country that they will enjoy tomorrow. My call, however, is to people like the obeyers who are moving dangerously around. The issue of debate is for our country, it will be to the good of our country. Let's meet and talk. If you feel so high and somebody lower coming to talk to you, come and talk and bring the person to a level of positivity that you are raising him or her up. That will make them to develop admiration for you. When citizens can develop admiration for each other, the country is on a path of growth, positivity, and every good thing. We must learn to love and respect each other. No Liberian owns Liberia than the other. We all share that country. That's our common denominator. We got to work forward to what is good. When we scatter and fight, we're going to blow a bomb in our country, and none of us will be in peace. But we can work together. That country may be, how you call it, 37,000 square miles, but it will be as big as the Pacific Ocean for everyone. So I leave that positive thought with all Liberians. Our country has so much to offer for us tomorrow. People say Liberia or Africa is the richest country. I just want to correct that. We have the potential to be the richest. Or to have diamonds and gold in the soil, it doesn't mean you are rich. You should be able to get that diamond and go out and process it before you get it. What's what are going to make you rich? So we have the potential to be a great country, but we have to work together. So once again, thank you to Focus on Liberia, and I'll always be around following your shows and participating in any way I can to make sure that we become proud of our country, and our children, when they come after us, they'll become proud that their parents who left them in good hands.
Jimmy? Are you hopeful for the future, Jimmy, with all this going on?
The youth one thing I admire about when Liberian youth, you see they have the energy.
Yeah.
And just like Mr. Wright just alluded to, we have to know how to put that energy to use. Just like we have to know how to put our minerals to use. We have to increase production. Production should be the song we do. We have to increase production. That's how we're going to get out of our poverty. Okay? So I'm very hopeful because we have the youth and we have energy. We just got to put it to use.
All right, folks, we want to say thank you so very much for always following our broadcast. You know, we can always remind you to like our Facebook page and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We had a very fruitful discussion here. If only we Liberians can agree to have conversation, debate in the manner we have tried our best to do here, I think that would be a first step in the right direction to do away with the manner in which we communicate with each other, the tearing down, the insults, denigrating others, not respecting our own. The issue of a Cummings, people accusing me of Incumbents corner. He is one of our best. There are so many best that we have, but I'm using him as an example. But see how we go after him. I want us to criticize him and any other leader, but to pull each other down in the manner and form, or because of politics, it's just sad. And the same can be said about anybody. I think we should get away from doing that. But focus on Liberia lost a friend. His name is James Nambwe. Today he was laid to rest. When he died, we pay a tribute to him. And so today we're going to read a poem written by me to say farewell to Nambwe, and we will close. Farewell, Nambwe. Nambwe, farewell. Unrelenting, you spoke. Unerring, you battled. Farewell, W. You came and you fought. You walk and talk. You bullet through punches. You fearlessly challenge. The battle you engage in the terrain on march, never on the surface, but trenches you were. Farewell, Lion. You wanted the interview. You granted the interview readily. You came preparedly. We talk the talk. Friends we became. So farewell, Slaw. Farewell, Nambwe. Jay the Giant, farewell. Gone yet echoing in our ears. Farewell, farewell, Jay Nambwe Slaw. Written by Anthony C.A. saying farewell to a friend. On that note, folks, in cyberspace, we want to say thank you for following our broadcast. This is how we will come to the end of our broadcast. Jimmy Eastbourne was here. The man, Mr. Nelson Gerard, for the first time, was on Focus on Liberia, and he contributed positively. Now forgetting our business and economic analyst and host of FOL Marketplace, William Bernard King. And I am your troublemaker, Anthony C.A., the guy who always try to play tough sometimes. But that's how we close it. Bye-bye, folks.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Jimmy.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home.